Jay here from Stretford, Paddock. This is it. This is the big one. So we've not got Joe with us. We've got James Young with us. We're going to be talking about Manchester United hosting Southampton in the Premier League. James, do you still feel, how do you feel about the whole game that almost I'm loath to mention, Anfield? Do you feel like this is another stepping stone towards getting over this, or are you done with this already?
I think so. I mean, I think the thing is, obviously, United won last night. It was a pretty comfortable game. And I think even when Betis made it 1-1, you're thinking, right, could have been 2-1 because they had that chance, and you're thinking if that had gone in, it might have been a very, very different game. But I think Southampton, 19th in the table, I think if this is one of them where it's like a 0-0 or a 1-1 and United scrape a point and it's a scrappy performance and going into, you know, the games United have coming up, which are not necessarily going to be easier in the league against sort of teams that are fighting to stay up and more sort of mid-table sides, then I think that could be a problem. But as we saw last night, I thought it was a really good performance, and they continue the way they're going, and hopefully the way that Ten Hag's speaking about the fact that it's sort of business as usual, and it should be fine. I don't think they've got anything to really worry about.
Stephen Alson just told me something. I don't know if it's true, but it sounds it. He said our XG, for those people that care, against Real Betis was higher than Liverpool's against ours. Now, it kind of sounds a bit true because we had a lot of chances against Betis, and a lot of those chances fell to Wout Weghorst. Now, he put a shift in, he got his goal. I like the kid. Where do you stand on him? Because do you have any concerns about the fact that he doesn't score a lot of goals and he does take a lot of chances as well? Or do you think that he makes up for it in other ways?
Yeah, I mean, was that his first goal?
No, he scored against Nottingham Forest in the Carabao Cup first leg.
So he's got 2 goals.
He's the first leg demon.
Right. And last night he missed about 3 really good chances as well. And they weren't just like half chances. There were you know, chances that really he should have taken. And even the goal that he scored, he still messed it up the first time and still had to like scrape it into the back of the net. And you know, it's funny that, you know, United fans were seeing you've seen Wout Weghorst now fuck off home to the Betis fans, all that stuff. And it's funny, you know, in a way that he finally scored because everyone wanted him to. But then at the same time, it is United's sort of main striker at the minute that's playing up front. And we saw it against Barcelona, we saw it against Liverpool as well. You know, just in those areas, he's just not an elite striker. He's not going to score 15 goals a season. And as we saw last night, he needs about 4 chances to take one. Yeah,
it's at the minute he's kind of getting away with it, I feel, a little bit, because, and I don't want to hate on the kid, but there is obviously limitations to him. Hence the reason he's on loan from Burnley. He's kind of getting away from it. I do worry that when you get to some of the bigger games like Chelsea or whatever, if you get that one chance rather than your 12 and you don't take it, it could be an issue. But we'll wait and see. At the moment, it's not too drastic because you've got Marcus Rashford, who's absolutely on fire. One player who has, for me, struggled a little bit post-World Cup has been Diogo Dalot. It seems like him and Aaron Wan-Bissaka have sort of been up and down as to who's the first choice. Who's, you know, at one point it looked like Dalot was the preferred choice. Now Wan-Bissaka seems to be, certainly from the fans I speak to, preferred, and he also keeps coming on at half time. It's happened a few times. Where do you stand on the Dalot-Wan-Bissaka sort of argument? Do you think it is time to give Wan-Bissaka a run?
I think they've always been quite inconsistent players ever since they've signed for United. I think Dalot and Wan-Bissaka have almost taken it in turns to have that position. I don't think any of them have really ever nailed it down properly. There was a period under Solskjaer where Wan-Bissaka was really good and he was brilliant with his slide tackles and everything, but going forward's always been his main problem, which is where Dalot comes in because he can push forward a bit more. He's more of an attacking fullback, but defensively he's not good enough, I don't think. And I think the other problem is with Dalot as well. He just gets caught out of position quite a lot of the time as well. Like, he'll push forward and then he'll find himself having to track back. And I think against bigger teams, he'll get found out eventually. And we saw that, I think, you know, against Liverpool. I just kind of feel like it just didn't work out.
Do you feel like now for Wan-Bissaka, you're right, and I agree with everything you said about they do seem to dovetail a lot. It's like, you know, for 6 months or for a year even, or even 18 months, it's Wan-Bissaka, or for 6 months it'll be Dalot, and then it goes back. Do you think now is the time for Wan-Bissaka maybe to get a little bit of a run? Or
yeah,
do you think he's still up in the air?
The problem that he's always had, like I said, is going forward, and I think with the system United play now under Ten Hag, that's fast on the counter-attack especially, I know he can put in crosses. We've seen it before in games, but it's just not consistent enough. And I think he's very limited to how he plays as a footballer. Defensively, I don't have a problem with him. I think he's really good, but I just think going forward, he lacks a lot of things that a lot of modern fullbacks have.
Get involved in the chat and comments you agree with, James. Where do you stand on it? Because it's becoming a little bit of a topic. I notice it tends to be, especially on social media, well, not just on socials, in the ground as well. One of the big discussion points has been about whether Aaron Wan-Bissaka should be starting. With all that in mind, let's talk about Predict 11s. We'll start with yours, James. This is the team you think Erik ten Hag will pick for the Southampton match. You've gone with pretty much, I mean, would you argue with the players available? With considering at the time of recording this, we don't think Andy Martial is available. Is this his strongest possible team?
I think so, but I think this is the problem United have with the lack of squad depth in the team. They can't really rotate that much at all. I mean, again, I was surprised that Casemiro came on yesterday and played for as long as he did. I'm still surprised that United still can't really rotate because of the players they have available to them. This is going to be the problem at the end of the season, and look like they're going to fight on all fronts in terms of the FA Cup and the Europa League. It's going to catch up with them, I think, in the end. And we saw this against Liverpool. I think they look really tired. And I think this could be another problem against Southampton, especially against West Ham. I thought for 70 minutes it was really obvious that they were still worn out from the cup final against Newcastle. And I think this is going to be a problem. Yeah,
because this is sort of, I've heard the argument being made, well, the games are every 3 days, but you don't train as much and all the rest of it. But it's mentally fatiguing to play that amount of games because these aren't training sessions, the games, and they must win. You have to win this game or you're out of the cup. You have to win this game or you're out of any sort of slightly title challenge you had. It's got to be mentally draining. And yes, the footballers, and they should be able to do it, but it's not easy. And most teams don't have to play the amount of games we do. Looking at the team there, obviously, back five, other than the Delo Wan-Bissaka debate, if you could call it that, we spoke about. What do you make of that midfield of Fred, Casemiro and Fernandes? Do you think that is a solid midfield?
I think it's one of the best in the Premier League in terms of, especially Fred's come on leaps and bounds. Do you remember his first season under Mourinho where it was just awful?
I mean, it was weird, wasn't it? Because Mourinho, I remember the Juve game where he was on the bench and didn't get off it, and Mourinho said, I looked at my bench and I had no one.
Yeah.
I thought, you've only just bought him. So he obviously didn't want him. We spoke about Weghorst. Rashford scoring goals, enough said. Anthony, what do you think about him? Because he's another one who, he's... Wingers are inconsistent, and he's a winger.
He is, but I thought last night he was brilliant. I thought his goal he took really well. I thought there was that lovely bit of play where he was played in and he tried to chip the keeper and missed it, and I thought he could have played that to Fred.
He could have played to Weghorst. Yeah. Weghorst was waiting. Yeah. Weghorst was like doing that thing, crouching down like, bro, I had a tap in, but listen, it's not all about, this isn't Make-A-Wish trying to get Weghorst a goal. I can't be too harsh on a player who's through on goal trying to score. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I know. I just feel that his decision making at times is lacking. But he's still had loads of great games for United this season. I remember Arsenal. I thought he was really good against at home. He's had games like that where you think there's a player here definitely, because he's obviously got the ability and the potential. But there are other games as well where I feel like this could be one of them. Is Southampton sit back where he could sort of go missing and get frustrated a bit trying to break down that low block that they'll probably play with.
He made me laugh against Arsenal, and he did it again against the Real Betis. He did like 3 or 4 celebrations on the spin. It's so funny because it winds up. I mean, it winds up the opposition fans. Arsenal fans were going mad when he did it because he did like his celebration. Then he did another one. Yeah. Then he went and got the ball and put it under his shirt, and he was right in their end as well. It was hilarious. So yeah,
and then all the players join him as well.
Yeah, it's just like how many celebrations do it? I'm all about that though. I like the kid. I think as well he gets a bit of stick because people want to pounce on Erik ten Hag and find criticisms with him, and his signings pretty much have been sort of almost perfect, almost. And it's like, Anthony's the one where you can go, 100 million, you probably overpaid for him, whatever. So I think he gets a little bit more stick than he's due. We'll go to my team, not too dissimilar from yours. In fact, it's identical, barring I've gone with Wan-Bissaka over Delo. Because of the things we've already touched upon, I feel like now Wan-Bissaka is playing a little bit more consistently than Delo is. And Delo's not quite looked at the levels he was pre-World Cup for me. I think maybe he needs a little bit of a breather. We'll move on to Southampton. Now, the 19th in the Premier League, they've already, I think, are they on the 3rd manager so far this season? So. They've already sacked, I mean, I thought Arsene Hootel was Teflon. I thought he was going to get away with it all, forever, no matter what, but he got sacked. Nathan Jones came in.
Nathan Jones was great value.
He was as disastrous a managerial appointment as I think the Premier League has ever seen.
If you're appointing a manager who's set fire to a ping pong table at his previous club because he's got that angry at his players for playing it during training, you know, it's a big risk. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, it is a risk, and it's a risk that didn't pay off. You're looking there, we've got some stats here. Southampton have conceded 41 goals in the league this season, scored 20, which is obviously terrible. They were knocked out of the FA Cup last week by Grimsby, although they did beat Leicester last weekend. And they also got a result against Chelsea not that long ago as well. So you have to be a little bit careful. If they are going to get any results, Southampton, there's obviously one man who's going to be pivotal to that, James Ward-Prowse, who far too often we go, someone's mint at free kicks, and they're not, but he actually is. Yeah. His record is very good at free kicks.
Well, that makes it even funnier that they lost to City when they're that bad, basically, in the sense that they lost to Grimsby. Grimsby can beat them, but City was so arrogant about that. Oh, we're going to win the Carabao Cup again this season.
Oh, you mean when they beat City? Yeah.
And they lost. But I think Ward-Prowse especially is one of those players, especially when it gets to like 85, 86 minutes and they get a free kick on the edge of the box. You just know what's going to happen. He's just got that sort of feeling about him where he's so good at from dead ball sort of specialist areas. He's a bit like the sort of free kick version of Rory Delap. In the sense that whenever he gets one, you think, you know, let's go.
It's very rare that, because I think it's overrated. Some players are overrated for their free kick ability. They'll score like once a season and they'll have this, oh, he's great at free kick. You think, well, he's not. He takes about 80 and scores one. Whereas James Ward-Prowse's conversion rate is good. You always get that feeling, I do anyway, when he takes one. Something's going to happen. If we're 1-0 up and they get a free kick in the last minute, I'm going home.
It's a bit like, do you remember Payet for West Ham?
Yeah.
Do you remember the FA Cup game, the quarter-final of the first one that was at home?
Vaguely.
Like, they got a free kick on the edge of the box. Yeah. It was like 60 minutes. And like the lads around me already had the phones out because they knew it was going in.
Oh, God, that's
filming
terrible.
It's like, I was sat right next to him.
It felt like the kid for Palace who hardly ever scores. Was it Elise? When they got that last minute free kick, you just felt, this is going in this, and it did. Hopefully it won't come to that anyway, because Manchester United will do the business. James, with everything that we've said, give us your score prediction for this Sunday.
I think United should win comfortably 2-0. I think the difference is now this season, especially at home, United have lost one game to Sociedad. They've just looked so comfortable, especially against teams like Southampton. If this was last season under Rangnick, I'd be saying this is going to be a 0-0 draw. They might, scrape a win at the end. But I think United have just been looking so solid at home this season.
Well, we had that. There's a Sociedad one, the Brian one, of course, as well. But he sort of said it, didn't he? He spoke it into existence, Eric tonight. He said, I want to turn Old Trafford into a fortress, which is all well and good. Everyone does. But then he did it.
Yeah.
Which is really.
But the Brighton game, I forgot about that, because it genuinely feels that long ago.
Feels like it was a Ralph Rangnick game, doesn't it? It was the first one, wasn't it, obviously?
The turnaround from that has just been so good in the sense that I can't remember a thing like it where, I know it's obviously United lost to Liverpool last week, but the 4-0 to Brentford and the response from that to beat Liverpool at home, I think hopefully we'll see this now where United have lost a big game to Liverpool and they're just going to come back and continue winning.
He does it all the time. He did it when we lost to City. He won 7 of his next 9, like you said about the Brentford game, and hopefully we can do that again. We want to hear my score prediction if anyone cares. It's 1-0 to Manchester United. I think it might be close, but I think we'll do it. Get your phone out, film yourself in landscape, give us your score prediction, about 30 seconds, and send it, to paddockmatchday@gmail.com. We want to hear from you. This is your channel. We want to hear your score predictions. James, where can people find you?
I'm on Twitter @JamesYoungTV and probably battling the cold outside Old Trafford.
He's outside. If you see James Young outside Old Trafford, go and buy a United stand off him. You've got to support the fans. And it's also a very good read. You know where to find me, Jay Martin. That's been James. I've been Jay. This has been the Southampton preview. Don't forget to hit like, share and subscribe. Thanks for watching.